Hello everybody, this is Michelle Fox and welcome back to The Simple Quilter. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 7 places to find free quilt patterns. Now for all of you who enjoy wearing comfortable, colorful quilt themed t-shirts, like the one I'm wearing, check out the So Many Quilty Things Etsy shop in the description below. You can use the coupon code SIMPLE at checkout to receive 15% off quilting and sewing apparel. Let's get started with the topic for today, and the number one place that I find free quilt patterns right now is right here, my own creativity and my own mind. Now the quilt behind me is an example of that. I'll put a link above for this quilt. I did a video on this quilt and showed you how to make this quilt. It was just making log cabin blocks using the log cabin trim tool 2 ruler. I'll put a link for the ruler in the description below. And again, a link up above for this quilt. But I just took one block, replicated it, sewed it together, and I have this beautiful quilt. So I'm going to step aside and let you see this quilt. Now the second place to go to get free patterns is right in your own quilt room. And I've pulled some things from my quilt room to show you where free patterns can be located. Okay, now the first thing I want to show you is this basket. And it is full of patterns. And I feel sure that many of you have patterns just like this in your quilt room. Now we bought these patterns because we loved them, and I still love these patterns. So this is the source of getting free patterns because these are already paid for and I'm not going to have to spend any additional money. Now some of you may not have patterns like this, but I have a feeling many of you do. Okay, here are 2 binders. I've shown you how I store my quilt patterns. And again, I bought all these because I love these patterns, and I still love all these patterns. So just look at all those patterns that are right there waiting, just waiting for me to use. Okay, how many of us have quilt books in our quilt rooms? Now, this is only 2 of many that I have in mind, but each of these has several different quilts in them. Now, you don't even have to make this exact quilt. You could make your own quilt, maybe just using the mittens, or maybe you're going to use a log cabin block and put it in a different layout. So, the books that you have in your quilt room are a great source for lots of different patterns. Alright, there's quilt magazines. This is Missouri Star Quilt Company's magazine called Block. Lots of patterns in here. Here's the American Patchwork and Quilting magazine. Again, lots of patterns in there. Now some of you may not have subscriptions to magazines. I bet some of your quilt friends do, and I'm sure they'd be glad to lend you their magazines. The third place to find free quilt patterns is your local quilt guild. For example, our quilt guild has an extensive quilt book library, and you can check books out there for several weeks. And lots of people donate books to that, and many of them are current updated books, so that's a great resource for quilt patterns. Now, another place you can find great free patterns are online quilt shops. And as you all know, one of my favorite quilt shops is the Fat Quarter Shop, and they have a huge selection of free patterns on their website. And this is one I just downloaded today. I wish I had time to make it before Halloween this year, but I'm not going to get it made. But I did print this off this morning. This is such a cute quilt, and the pattern's right there. And the great thing about this, Kimberly Jolly also does tutorials for each of these blocks on her YouTube channel. So not only do you get the free pattern from her website, you've got the tutorials to go along with that. Okay, so I'm not sure if I said online quilt shops was number 4. Number 5 is online quilt alongs. There are lots of quilters that have YouTube channels that offer sew-alongs, and I'm going to show you one that I've participated in this year. Now, I haven't got very far in this quilt along. I'm way, way, way behind. Now, this is a Quilting Life Block of the Month for 2021 quilt along. This is Sherry McConnell's, and her instructions are really good. Again, she has the free patterns that you can print when you watch her video tutorials. Those are listed in the descriptions below her videos. Let me show you some of these blocks. These are super cute, and I've used the All Hallows Eve collection. Oh, I have so much of this fabric. I just love this whole entire collection. And here's one more. So those are a lot of fun. Okay, number 6 are YouTube videos. There are lots of quilt YouTube channels out there, and they do offer free patterns on theirs. You can go to my playlist and you'll see several videos. Now, Missouri Star Quilt Company has great tutorials for making quilts, and this is a quilt that I made back in 2018. And I made this using, just from watching one of Jenny Doan's quilt tutorials. So that's always an option. Okay, number 7 are the websites of fabric manufacturers. They have tons and tons of beautiful free patterns for you to download and use to make lovely quilts. Now, some of those designers are Moda, Riley Blake, Timeless Treasures, Robert Kaufman, Northcott. There are just tons and tons of free patterns on those websites. So there are lots of places where you can find free patterns. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Share with a friend. And as always, leave a comment. I love to get the comments, and I try to reply to each and every one. So until next time, have fun quilting.